going on YouTube? This is Tom Polek. I'm just gonna make another cooking video like I did the last time. I'm gonna make some Sofritas. It's like you get at Chipotle. It's basically some Chipotle flavored tofu with a bunch of vegetables, and you can put it in a burrito or eat it in a bowl or do whatever you want. So let's get started. The ingredients I'm gonna be using, I got a big bulk bag of white rice. I could have gotten brown, but I really like white rice. I got 2 packs of extra firm tofu. I got some tomatoes for the pico de gallo, a bunch of bell peppers. I have red, green, orange, and yellow. I have 3 cans of black beans. I want to start buying bulk black beans as well and soaking them overnight, but I was inspired to do this and didn't have the time. Some chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. I have a white onion, a red onion, some jalapenos, a clove of garlic, some cilantro, and some limes. And hopefully we can make a good meal. I'm going to start by rinsing all my vegetables. Give it a rinse. I'm going to toss it around, but I only have one hand, so I'll be back after I do that. So I drained all of the black beans and rinsed them. I put them in the pot. This is going to be our bean pot. I'm going to cut up an onion and a couple cloves of garlic and put some spices in there and get this going. The longer the better. I want to get this on first and then the rice, and then we'll do the sofritas. I'm just going to add enough water to not quite cover these, but just bring the level up a little bit. That was about 1 tin of the beans. I'm going to add maybe half of this one. Get some of that extra bean flavor in there. Okay, so I'm gonna start cutting these vegetables. I have the onion and the garlic. I'm gonna do maybe 3 cloves of garlic and half of the onion. Just as a tip, if your cutting board is moving around a lot, you can get a washcloth and dampen it on both sides. Throw it under there, and I'll kind of get some friction, and I'm really pressing down trying to move here and it's not moving. So that's a tip. I don't really have a problem with it, but if you have a surface that's giving you trouble, that's always a good way to combat it. So as I said, I'm gonna cut 1/2 of a white onion. You can do yellow onion, I wouldn't do red. And I'm gonna do it in pieces that I shouldn't notice when I'm biting into the beans. As I said, these are going into the beans just to give it some flavor and bite. So I'm gonna hopefully do it in the size of a little bean. That way it won't be too crazy when you're taking a bite. I'd given this advice before, but I just wanted to touch on it again. To get that nice kind of dice, you're gonna make chops in like this, across, and then you're gonna come in like this, and one more time, and then when you cut down, it's gonna be very small pieces, and that's what I was saying, kind of similar size to the beans. So. So my onion is chopped. I'm going to go ahead and chop the garlic. I'm gonna do 4 cloves. I don't know if that's a lot or not, but it's 3 tins of beans, so it's gonna be a lot of bean in there, so I don't mind some flavor to spice it up. So that's my onions and garlic chopped up. I'm gonna add these to the beans, get some spices going, and then move on to the rice. So here are my onions and garlic chopped. I'm gonna add these to the pot. Hopefully they slide right in. Okay, so I forgot one ingredient, and this is something I've never cooked with. It's chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. I love chipotle, I love the flavoring, I have the dry seasoning, but I've never cooked with the actual peppers. And they come in a tin like this. And they're just little peppers that I am going to chop up. I believe the recipe calls for 1. I'm gonna add maybe 2. Yep, just 2, and then a couple spoonfuls of the sauce. I don't really think I need to do anything special with these. I'm just gonna kind of chop them up into even more of a paste. It's gonna dirty up my cutting board a bit, but it's all supposed to taste like Chipotle anyways. And I'm gonna add this to the beans, and then we'll go from there. Okay, and to the beans, finally, I'm going to add, this is a bunch of cumin, salt, coriander, and 2 bay leaves. Just kind of to taste, I didn't measure anything. And then I am going to stir this all around, get it all in there. Bring it up to a low boil and just kind of let it cook and reduce and go for maybe 45 minutes or an hour, or kind of however long everything else tastes. The beans are already cooked, I just need to heat them through and then let the onions get a little soft. So I'll be back with the rice. I have just almost 2 cups of rice in here, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio from water to rice. So I'm gonna do 2 cups of rice, and then I'm gonna add 4 cups of water. I'm gonna add some butter to it. This is just some vegan earth balance. I don't think it matters too much, but I think it can add a little bit of flavor just to brighten up rice and turn something healthy into something unhealthy, which is the goal. So I'm gonna let that sit. We're gonna bring it up to a boil, put the lid on, and then reduce it to a simmer until it all absorbs. So I got extra firm tofu to cook with, and it is from the brand Soy Boy. I don't know how many people will cook with tofu, but when you buy it, it normally comes in a package like this, and if you cut it open, it is in a liquid, which kind of preserves it. So before we do anything with this, we need to drain this pretty well, and I'm gonna do it with the other pack as well. And then we can get working on the spices and making the sofritas. So tofu is one of the more satisfying things to cut in the world. The knife just kind of goes right through it, and these still have some moisture in them, but basically I'm gonna cut these and then throw them in a pan without any oil or anything. The pan's been preheated to low or medium, but just to bring some of that moisture out of them. And I could just crumble this right into the pan, but I kind of want to dice it and go from there, and then when I'm stirring, if it crumbles, so be it. I just don't want it to get too loose. So I'm gonna cut these into little small pieces, and then we'll move on. And that's the tofu. As you see, it's in these kind of small blocks, and I could have went finer or smaller, but as I said, I'm gonna be moving the pan around a lot, and I'm sure this is gonna crumble into pieces. So we're good. So I'm going to attempt to add this all to my pan. There might be some spillage, but as you can see, no oil in the pan. Just a couple pieces there. Just throw these right on in. But that's just all the water that I was not able to drain from the tofu. Cooking out and hitting the hot pan, that'll slow down and relax a little bit, but that's exactly what I want to happen. I want the tofu to start cooking, get a little soft, and then we'll start adding some spices in. Hey, so I'm gonna add the rest of this onion that I chopped up earlier. I may need more, but I think I may be good. Same thing, I'm gonna dice this to a similar size as the sofrita. And that's a cool thing about this. If it's going in a burrito, everything should be generally the same size. If you're doing any type of protein, you wanna make it so every bite is kind of on the same level. So I'm just gonna do the same type of chop I did earlier. I'm also gonna do 2 more cloves of garlic. Okay, so this has come to a gentle simmer. It was just boiling, but I stirred it around so it stopped. So I'm gonna put the lid on it and turn it down to just between low. And then over here, the sofritas are definitely cooking off the water. New spoon. Sofritas, the water is cooking off and it's kind of starting to stick to the bottom. So I'm going to add our onion and garlic. I'm going to chop a tomato up to add to our sofritas. There should be tomato paste in there as well, but I'm gonna be honest, I forgot to get it and I don't have any. That would add kind of more of a body to the sauce that the sofritas are gonna sit in. I'm just taking the core out here, just so that's not in the sofrita. But yeah, I'm just gonna chop a tomato, add it in there, seeds and all. This will stop the frying of the sofritas and kind of have it relax a little bit while also giving the flavor to the chipotle. I said I was gonna keep the seeds. I actually don't wanna do that, so I'm just gonna take them out here and put them away. I don't really have a trick for cutting tomatoes because honestly I don't eat them much, and I don't think I'm coming around to them, but I used to not like them. I went out, yeah. I don't really have a story, I just don't like them that much. I'm also gonna do a couple more of the chipotle peppers. I wanna do a good amount this time, and I'll probably add in a spoonful of the sauce. This is where the flavor from the sofritas is gonna come from. And I'm gonna add all of this to the pan. So here's where the sofritas are at now. As I was saying, it's kind of gotten crumpled as I've been mixing things around. The chipotle peppers are in there. I added the rest of the tin. As I'm going through, I'm just kind of breaking them up, trying to get them in contact with the bottom of the pan. But this is gonna go for a little while. In the meantime, I'm gonna sprinkle some oregano in, just out of the tin. Any type of dried oregano will do. I think this is a pretty staple spice in the dish. That might not be enough, but we're gonna taste it as we go along and see how it does. Taking a look at our beans, I've lowered this all the way down. I'm gonna turn the heat off at this point. This is exactly where I want it to be. All those onions are kind of softened in there. The bay leaves have probably done their job, so I can take that out. But I'm just gonna let this sit, and these should be good to go whenever I'm ready. The rice is just about coming to a boil, so I'm just gonna turn this heat all the way down. There's a melt function on here, but that's basically low. And here's kind of an important part. This lid needs to be airtight. There's some where it has the little holes for steam to come out. For rice, it's not very specific, but you definitely don't want to lose that moisture. You want it to get it absorbed into the rice, so try to get a lid that fits tightly. And we're just gonna leave this sit until the rice is good to go. I'm just gonna check on it every couple of minutes and see how we are. So as everything's cooking, I'm gonna try something that I've never really done, which is make pico de gallo. That's not even something that I eat all that much of. I just like it when I get it at Chipotle, and I guess this is kind of Chipotle themed, so I have no idea about numbers and recipe-wise how much to do. I'm just gonna eyeball it. So I wanna cut these tomatoes up. I'm gonna seed them like I did the last time. I'm gonna do some red onion, some jalapenos, some garlic, wherever that got to. Yeah, some garlic, some lime juice, and some cilantro, and we'll see how it turns out. So I'm just gonna clean these up a bit. I don't know how much you can see. I don't need any of these kind of black parts on the end, and I'm not too worried about saving as much tomato as I can, because as I said earlier, I'm not sure what the ratio I'm gonna use is to tomato, to onion, to cilantro, to everything else, but I'm gonna try to chop them fairly thin into small pieces, just because any type of pico or salsa I've had, I don't really like to get the big chunks in there, so I'm just gonna start chopping. Okay, so I have about this much tomato. So I'm gonna maybe do half of a red onion and see where that gets me. Once again, same technique that I've been using the whole time, I guess, with the tomato, or with the onions, bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna do a bunch of those chops and then chop through, chop across, and then hopefully have little bite-sized pieces for the pico. All right, moving forward, I'm gonna do 1 jalapeno and maybe 2 cloves of garlic. I've done this before, but I'm going to de-seed my jalapeno, kind of. I want this to be a little spicy, but at the same time, I'm realizing now that the chipotle that I'm adding into the sofritas has a little bit of a kick. Not in like a bad surprised way, but I didn't think it would be as spicy as it is. So I took a good amount of seeds out, but if you can see, there's still a few in there. I'll leave that as is, and this I want to be very thin. Borderline matchsticks as I'm cutting into strips here, and then I'm gonna pull them tight together and cut across. I know I said, or I didn't say it, but the last time I think I ruined my video by talking over chopping, because I think the chopping sounds really good, but I just kind of wanted to explain. I don't want a big bite of jalapeno in the pico, so that's why I'm doing that. Now I'm gonna do the garlic. As I said, I'm just gonna do 2 cloves, depending on how big they are. Okay, I'm getting a little sleepy here because I've been cooking for a long time and it's a mess, but I'm just gonna do a couple more things for the pico de gallo. I'm gonna roll this lime a little bit, and this is, I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw Gordon Ramsay do it, so it's gotta be right. If you roll it, it's same with lemons, and I actually do think it works. It kind of lets the juices out a little bit more. So I am just going to, you gotta be careful with cutting things that are spheres. Do half a lime of lime juice? I don't know, does that seem right? Here's what it looks like so far. I added a little bit more red onion and I put garlic in, and then I have cilantro after this. I think it'll be good maybe, but here we go, I'll do this. That looks good to me. I'm gonna do a bunch of cilantro as well. I guess this whole thing's a bunch, but I'll do like this much. That looks like a lot, but I know cilantro is like one of the main things for pico. And the stems are definitely supposed to be in it. So I'm just gonna give it like a fine chop like this. Or I guess it's not fine, this is a rough chop. And then maybe one this way. And add all this in. So here's my pico. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. I'll try it right now, I guess. It's all right. I think it would be better if the tomatoes were better, or if tomatoes were in season, but it'll do. I think the concept's there. I have some things I'd change next time. And you're supposed to salt it, but with pico de gallo and a lot of things that you want to serve fresh, you don't really want to salt it now, especially with tomatoes, because like with anything, salt will draw the moisture out of those tomatoes, which will make it kind of runny and have all that juice go to the bottom. So when I serve it or when I do my meals, I'm gonna salt it right before I eat it, just to prevent any type of sogginess or anything like that. Hello. So I've cleaned up a little bit. As I was saying, I'm getting a little sleepy and I'm just tired. This was a lot for me. But I'm not gonna finish yet. I have to fix up this rice and do some cool stuff to it, like add some cilantro and even just learning on the spot. I think I need to cut these stems really thin, or like do a better job chopping, just so it's not too much. So I'm just gonna cut it like this, put it on top of itself, and then really go for a fine chop. So I've been using this to hold up my phone the whole time. This is a zester, so I'm going to zest, well, let me move. I'm going to zest 1 full lime, and you always zest before you chop, just because if I were to chop this, it'd be hard to zest a kind of smushy lime. So the zest from 1 lime is gonna go in here, and this is just my rice here. I'll show you it in a second. I don't know how much actually made it in. I'm just gonna scrape it. If you can't tell, that's something else I've never really done. I don't really zest stuff too much, but I'm just going to cut this lime. Aha! I didn't roll this one, and it's definitely not squeezing out as easy. It took way more effort than it should have. So here's where we're at. This is the rice. I just added the lime and cilantro. Our bean mixture is definitely cooked down, and those are gonna be good. And our sofritas, I turned off maybe 2 minutes ago. I think they've cooked just about as much as they're going to. You can see that really pretty oil along the bottom. I added a little bit of oil, but it's mixing with the juice from the adobo, which is really cooked into it. So this is really coming together. And last, but certainly not least, are the vegetables that I'm gonna chop to kind of make a fajita out of it, or I wanna do the rice, the beans, sofritas, and some fresh veggies. So I'm waiting to the end to do this. I don't wanna cook all of these together. I want to do it in batches. So I'm just gonna make 1 serving tonight, and then tomorrow for dinner, I'll saute some more and the day after, because if I were to cook these all tonight and put them in the fridge by Thursday, even by Wednesday night, they might not be all fresh and hold that same firmness that they would otherwise. So I'm gonna chop all these into thin slices along with the rest of the red onion. And then when I saute it, I'll just do it with some salt and pepper and some fajita spices, maybe some cumin, some coriander, or I'll just leave them because this is pretty flavorful already. So I'm gonna get chopping. The rest of this onion I'm gonna do in long, thin slices. I'm actually gonna save this orange. I don't think I need it. This is kind of what I ended up with, this big Tupperware of salt, peppers and onions. So I'm gonna saute some of these, and then I think we're done, so hurrah. I've been a little ambitious here with the meal I chose to make, but I'm hoping it turns out good. I haven't done half of this stuff before. I don't really chop tomatoes or use chipotles or do any of this, so I'm hoping it turns out good. I guess we'll see. Here we go. This is all I'm gonna really want for maybe 1 or 2 burritos tonight. Get them really going in that oil, and I'll toss them around. Alrighty, so we are done. These have a little bit of color on them. They smell very good. They're just about where I would like them to be. The beans are really cooked down. I'm gonna use a strainer like this to get them out, just so I don't have too much liquid in the burrito, but those onions are very soft. The beans have taken on the flavor of everything in there, the cumin, the bay leaf, the chipotles. The sofritas are looking good. That's some coriander in there that I just sprinkled in. The spice is just about there. And then the rice is looking good. So I'm going to attempt to assemble a burrito. The climax of the video. Alrighty. Not the biggest burrito, so I'm just gonna get little scoop of rice like this. Hey, Omar. Any beans next? That's scoop. It's looking good. Use the Sofritas. Maybe 2 spoonfuls. We'll do it from the Chipotle hamburger we get. And then you can veggies. I'm just going to add a few vegetables in the burrito this to line it up. And you can't forget the fresh pico, which I did just salt, so it's a little bit, but still not the greatest, but I think your genuine's not really nice. We'll do a scoop. There you go. Alrighty. This is a little fat, so I don't know if it'll actually be a burrito or not. We'll see. Tuck it in there. Tuck it inside. You push, you pull, pull, push, pull, pull. There it is. Looks great. I think that's it. I'm gonna take a bite and then close this video up. I just took a bite of the burrito. It fell apart a little bit. It's really good though. I think I need to salt the beans. I think I expected there to be a little more salt in them. The pico is actually very good. The rice is good. I can't really taste the lime and cilantro, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. And the sofritas are very good. I don't know if it's just because there's so much stuff in there, but they do remind me of the Chipotle ones. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this all turned out. I think it took me about 2 hours from start to finish to make, which is a long time, but theoretically this should be my lunch and could be my dinner for like the next week. I don't know how much it costs total. I'm gonna try to do that math with the receipt and give you guys that info, but I don't know. Thanks for watching. I hope this video isn't 20 minutes long, but it might be because this was hard, but let me know if you want me to make something else. Thanks, guys.